As we enter 2024, the BYOPills project wasted no time in delivering on its promise. January 1st marked the official launch of BYORacer Early Access Season 1, transforming what had been a playtesting environment into a competitive arena with significant stakes. The Season 1 announcement detailed the impressive reward pool, approximately 4.6 million raw trips, representing about 1% of the total trip supply, would be up for grabs. This reward pool was strategically divided, with 46% allocated to leaderboard rankings as a play-to-airdrop approach, and 54% tied to the absorption experiment through a play-to-earn system based on the seasonal progress bar. The reward structure reinforced the game's two distinct playstyles, with the leaderboard pot split evenly between fastest lap and absorption score achievements. Craft tier directly impacted potential earnings, with Titan craft holders eligible for 35% of the reward pool, followed by Spiders at 27.5%, Riders at 22.5%, and Dusters at 15%. For speed demons chasing the fastest lap leaderboard, only the top 10 in each craft tier would earn rewards, with first place claiming 30% of the tier's allocation and rewards decreasing progressively to 2% for 10th place. In contrast, the absorption score system rewarded endurance and survival skills, distributing rewards to all participants based on how much raw trip they absorbed compared to others in their craft tier. This meant even those who weren't the fastest could earn by focusing on surviving longer races. The season was designed to be intense but brief, scheduled to conclude after 2 weeks or when the raw trip supply was depleted, whichever came first. While all in-game progress would eventually reset for the full game launch, the announcement assured players that their earned raw trip would transfer to their BioHub accounts, and craft levels achieved would be extracted as additional raw trip. As the countdown to the 6 p.m. EST launch reached its final hours, BioCraft holders prepared for what would be the first true test of skill, strategy, and endurance in the BioVerse. As Season 1 took flight, the community found new energy and purpose. Despite the broader crypto market's continued struggles, BYORacer brought pillagers together in a shared pursuit, creating a vibrant energy that had been missing during the prolonged bear market. The competition quickly consumed daily routines. The Discord buzzed with activity at all hours, as racers shared strategies, celebrated new personal records, and commiserated over near misses on the leaderboards. Sleep schedules became the first casualty of Season 1. Many pillagers raced deep into the night, chasing just one more perfect lap or pushing for a higher absorption score. Heart rates skyrocketed as players navigated sharp turns at maximum speed, with their last life remaining, with many reporting genuine physical tension during their most ambitious runs. The dedication bordered on obsession, leading to a wave of humorous confessions from players trying to explain to their skeptical wives why endless racing for trip was, in fact, a completely reasonable life choice. Despite the previous attempt to balance the mechanics with environmental damage adjustments, the most skilled racers still found ways to extend their sessions well beyond 30 minutes, with a few exceptional runs approaching or even exceeding the hour mark. These marathon sessions showcased both extraordinary skill and unwavering determination. The season drew in pillagers of every commitment level, from casual players seeking a few rewards to dedicated racers who spent hours perfecting their racing style. What had started as a game had evolved into something more, a shared adventure that transcended the digital experience. While the race for trip drove the competition, Season 1 had brought something more valuable to the project: a reinvigorated community spirit. Season 1 came to an early end on January 10th, finishing 4 days ahead of schedule as players quickly absorbed all available raw trip. The community's enthusiasm had turned what was planned as a potential 2-week competition into an intense 10-day sprint. The final tallies showed just how active the season had been. Players had absorbed about 2.4 million raw trip through the absorption experiment, with another 2.2 million set aside for leaderboard rewards, pending the team's anti-cheat review. The shorter-than-expected season spoke to how engaged players had become with BYORacer. Even the physical toll of extended gaming sessions became a running joke, with players sharing stories of sore necks, and the team playfully suggesting BYO-branded neck pillows for future seasons. Season 1 marked an important milestone, the first real test of the project's play-to-earn and play-to-airdrop systems. The team noted that the volume and quality of player feedback had surpassed their expectations. Pillagers took to Discord to share their end-of-season summaries, leaderboard rankings, and projected raw trip earnings. But out of them all, there stood a legend, the indisputable champion of Season 1, who ranked first for all but one leaderboard, the man himself, G3. With the races finished, focus shifted to what lay ahead. The team planned to release a detailed Season 1 recap, distribute special achievements to both playtesters and Season 1 participants, and even began hinting at Season 2. In just 3 months, BYORacer had grown from its October playtest into a proper competitive game. Season 1's success showed that the concept had found its footing. But many still wondered, where was the BYOverse? 2 days later, on January 12th, the doc shared a video on his X account titled, "Hanging Around with the Team. Here we get our first glimpse into what multiplayer would look like." Was it really about to come so soon after Season 1? And then only a few days later, on January 16th, the doc shared another video, but this time teasing BioWare. It read, "It's time for Bio merch already, isn't it?" The team must have been riding the positive wave after Season 1. After these brief teasers in mid-January, the project entered a period of relative quiet. The community eagerly awaited news of both their rewards and what would come next. On February 21st, the team acknowledged their recent silence, explaining they had been busy preparing upcoming developments. They announced that the following Monday would mark the official celebration of Season 1, with raw trip rewards ready for distribution to all participants. Looking ahead, they revealed that Season 2 was already in development for a March release, promising improvements based on lessons learned from Season 1. The announcement also hinted at something additional launching alongside the new season, with a cryptic reference to a pilot that might offer a first taste of the BioVerse. Wow, it sounded like the team were ready to ramp it up a notch. The very next day, the team released a comprehensive survey, asking Season 1 participants to evaluate all aspects of the game, from user experience and music, to path-taking strategies and control preferences. This direct request for feedback showed their commitment to improving the game based on player experiences. This was on top of the feedback and game suggestions already provided in the respective Discord channels, but perhaps this survey would structure it better. On February 26th, the reward distribution process began. The team explained that servers would need approximately 24 hours to validate and allocate rewards to all accounts, after which new raw trip balances would be visible in both BioHub and the Racer. They also announced that BioHub would soon be updated with Racer achievements from both playtesting and Season 1. On March 10th, the Project X account dropped a teaser video stating that the Racer achievements were coming on the next day. True to their word, on March 11th, the Racer achievements went live on BioHub. The playtest achievements recognized those who helped refine the game before its official season, with badges for participation, leaderboard rankings in both speed and absorption categories, and a special recognition to whomever achieved the fastest lap and highest absorption score during this critical development phase. Season 1 achievements were more extensive, covering participation, craft-level milestones, number of purchased upgrades, leaderboard rankings, craft stat milestones, race count, and of course, recognition for the fastest lap and highest absorption score. Each achievement contributed to players' overall vibe scores, further integrating the racing experience into the broader BYO ecosystem while creating a permanent record of the project's first competitive season. Then on the next day, March 12th, the Project X account dropped this video. It was captioned, "Into the Jungle We Ride," with 3 hashtags of BYORacer Amazonia and Bioland. This was the team's way of stating that a new map based in the Amazonia biome was coming for Season 2, with many of the community caught off guard with this teaser. Continuing their streak of teasers, the Project X account posted 2 BioWare-related photos across the following days, with one focusing on the iconic hazmat, and the other showing the intricate detail of their packaging. A few weeks later, on March 29th, an announcement dropped in the Discord stating that a snapshot had been taken of all holders within the BYO ecosystem. Those in the snapshot had received an airdrop of their BioWare Hazmat NFT. They didn't say much other than, "We'll keep you posted." But based on their recent teasers over on X, it felt as if BioWare might be dropping soon, and that access to purchasing the hazmat was to be token-gated. But, at this point, you'd be right to say, hey, it's almost the end of March. Wasn't Season 2 supposed to be released by now? Which is exactly the question that many of the community were pondering. And so on March 30th, the team posted a comprehensive update addressing the many concerns of the community. They began by thanking everyone for their constant support and passion for the BYO ecosystem, emphasizing that this support fueled their daily efforts. The update outlined a strategic shift in their approach. Instead of setting specific dates that might need to change, they would adopt a more spontaneous release strategy, dropping content when need be, while still promising regular updates to keep the community informed. As for BYORacer Season 2, they acknowledged the delay, explaining that creating new levels and gameplay elements was taking longer than anticipated. The team emphasized quality over rushing out unfinished content, pointing to their past deliveries as evidence of their commitment to standards. They acknowledged missed deadlines but attributed these to the complex nature of development and evolving technology. To bridge the gap, they announced plans for an open playtest session, giving the community a chance to experience the work in progress and provide feedback, though no timeline was provided for when this would take place. The team also reaffirmed their commitment to the broader BioVerse vision. The BioVerse is still in full effect, they stated, and we have big plans for its future. As a separate and surprising side note, they hinted that another game might be in development beyond BYORacer, a brief mention that caught many community members' attention. They closed with a reminder that this was a shared journey, encouraging everyone to prepare for a future filled with surprises and excitement. Their vision extended beyond just building a community. They were striving to create a legacy. After the March 30th update, the project entered an extended period of silence. As April passed with no Season 2 playtest or further announcements, community curiosity naturally grew. On May 13th, after nearly 6 weeks without major updates, the team finally resurfaced with a substantial announcement. They acknowledged the prolonged silence, explaining that they had been engaged in deep strategic discussions and addressing internal matters that required significant attention. "We are committed to making BYORacer and BYOPills the best it can be," they stated, and sometimes that means taking a step back to plan more thoroughly for the future. This perspective framed their quiet period not as absence, but as a necessary reflection to strengthen the project's direction. Regarding BYORacer Season 2, they confirmed development was still active but progressing slower than expected. Along with the update, they shared in-engine footage of the new map, giving the community a glimpse of the work-in-progress environment without post-processing or finalized shadows. They also included a new glimpse of the BYOVerse environment in-game, offering visual reassurance that this larger vision remained in active development. This latest preview continued the tradition of periodic teasers, while reaffirming their previous statements that the BYOVerse was still very much in effect, something the community had been eager to see evidence of. The update reinforced that development was still happening, as evidenced by the Season 2 map progress and BYOVerse footage, but at a significantly reduced pace. The team explained they were building robust strategies for the future of the project, a process requiring extensive planning and communications across multiple fronts. While they promised to elaborate on these discussions in the future, the message suggested a project at a critical juncture, carefully considering its path forward amid the changing landscape. To address community questions directly, they announced plans for a Discord community call, creating an opportunity for direct conversation after months of primarily one-way communication. The call would be a closed session for pillagers only, allowing for an open discussion about recent developments and providing a forum for the team to answer questions. The announcement of this direct engagement suggested a desire to reconnect with the community in a more personal way. Only 2 days later, on May 15th, an announcement dropped which scheduled the community call for May 22nd. With this brief announcement, another clip of the BYOVerse was shared. The much-anticipated community call took place on May 22nd, offering holders a rare behind-the-scenes look at the project's journey and current situation. The team began with a broad overview, reassuring the community that all ecosystem assets remained equally important in their vision, even if development focus had appeared imbalanced at times. They positioned BYORacer as more than just a standalone game, describing it as the platform that would eventually connect all assets across the ecosystem. While initially focused on crafts and apostles, with pills integration coming, the full vision included roles for land and other elements, creating value and utility while the broader BYOVerse continued development. The conversation turned to external challenges, namely the extended bear market that had forced many projects to exit the space entirely. A significant part of this discussion centered on the shift to zero-royalty marketplaces, a trend that had affected not just BYOPills but the entire NFT ecosystem. This fundamental change to the economic model had impacted ongoing development resources across the industry. Addressing the noticeable slowdown during the first half of 2024, the team explained that they had needed time to address internal complexities, regroup, and form a clearer path forward. While Season 1 had built significant momentum, the period that followed required a step back to ensure long-term sustainability. This period of re-strategizing, though challenging for the community's patience, was portrayed as essential for the project's future. The team also addressed the complexity surrounding the TRYP token. They explained that initial legal hurdles had slowed its implementation, but emphasized their commitment to developing sustainable use cases before launch. They expressed a clear philosophy: releasing a token merely for short-term hype without proper utility would ultimately harm the project's long-term vision. Perhaps most significantly, they revealed how the project's scope had evolved beyond initial plans, with BYORacer transforming from a simple mini-game into a full-fledged mobile experience with extensive back-end capabilities yet to be revealed. This expansion, while creating a more substantial product, had consumed considerable resources as they prioritized quality features over rushed delivery, explaining that once the racer reaches the public multiplayer phase, it stands a good chance of being one of the highest quality mobile racing games. The call concluded with an open discussion about ensuring the project's continued forward momentum and long-term sustainability. Throughout these frank discussions, which touched on resource needs and future support options, they repeatedly emphasized their unwavering commitment to the vision, asserting that despite challenges, their determination to deliver remained intact. The zero royalty marketplace issue mentioned during the community call represented a seismic shift in Web3 economics that deserves deeper exploration. When NFTs first gained prominence, creator royalties were a cornerstone of the technology's promise, allowing project teams to earn a percentage of secondary sales throughout time. This model enabled ongoing development and community support long after initial mint revenues had been invested. However, in late 2022 and throughout 2023, the NFT marketplace landscape underwent a dramatic transformation. Platforms like Blur began offering zero royalty trading options, creating market pressure that eventually forced established marketplaces like OpenSea to make royalties optional rather than mandatory. This represented more than just reduced revenue. It fundamentally altered the economic foundation upon which many projects had built their development roadmaps. Teams that had scaled operations based on projected royalty income suddenly found themselves navigating an entirely different financial landscape, all while marketplace platforms continued collecting their own transaction fees. This industry-wide shift forced many NFT projects to either abandon their roadmaps entirely or seek alternative sustainability models. The Web3 space as a whole had to adapt to this fundamental change in economics, with teams across the ecosystem reassessing how they would fund ongoing development and support their communities in this new landscape. Throughout the following week after the community call, the team periodically came into the Discord to engage with the pillagers, picking up any leftover questions and thanking those who showed their appreciation for their recent openness. For the first time in a long time, George the Sioux Cook even shared a teaser of an unseen mechanic inside of the racer. It centered around the concept of Tempests, which had been outlined previously back in an announcement on July 16, 2023. What we know so far about Tempests is that danger increases with reward, with environmental hazards unique to each track and biome, and that managing death is important for overall ranking and rewards. So as we look back at this teaser, we can see that there are 6 stages of the Tempest, each with their own equal reward pools, with the background imagery indicating increasing environmental instability. Down at the bottom, we see a section titled Weather Data, which, across the 3 categories shown here, seem to impact both the stats of the craft and also the environmental DPS. In the top right, we can see a timer for when a particular stage of the Tempest ends, and along the top we can see 2 other pages, Tempest Statistics and Tempest Leaderboard, which seem self-explanatory. Interesting, right? The next evolution of the BYORacer looked incredibly exciting. Around 3 weeks after the community call, the team shared a major development. BYOPills had secured a private funding round. This announcement came after months of hints about strategic discussions and internal matters that had slowed development. This incredible support is a testament to the belief in the vision and the potential of our project, they stated. The funding would allow them to accelerate development and put BYOPills back on track, a phrase that acknowledged the recent slower pace. With financial backing secured, they promised more regular updates as they ramped up efforts, focusing first on delivering the long-awaited Season 2 of BYORacer. The message carried a sense of renewed momentum, with the team expressing gratitude to those who had remained supportive during the quieter period. This funding announcement revealed what had likely been happening behind the scenes during those months of strategic discussions, securing the capital needed to continue building toward their ambitious vision. For the community, it offered hope that the project's development would now accelerate after the extended periods of silence and delays. While most of the community was happy with this news, some wondered why more details about the funding raise hadn't been shared, to which the team stated that it was less about hype and more about transparency. On the same day, June 14th, the project's X account dropped this video.
It's been dark, the silence deafening, trapped inside, waiting for this cycle to pass. not knowing if it ever will. And when all hope was lost, there she was, glowing brighter than ever. Is this just another trip, or will this be our salvation?
A vague yet forward-looking message, acknowledging the recent hardship but striving to get back on track. Following the funding announcement, the team introduced a new communication approach starting on June 21st, launching BYO Weekly Logs in the Com Updates channel to provide regular updates on development progress. The first log revealed a refocused team, now laser-targeted on finalizing milestones for BYORacer Season 2. Work centered primarily on the Amazonia map, with extensive cleanup of colliders, implementation of a new system for procedurally generated obstacles, and replacement of older assets with better optimized versions. Environmental improvements were also underway, with significant upgrades to vegetation and overall map liveliness to create a more immersive experience. Beyond the game itself, the team mentioned setting up comprehensive plans for the project's new phase, including an expanded presence across social platforms. The second weekly log, released on June 28th, showed accelerating progress toward a playable version of Season 2. The team announced that the map was now fully playable, with all colliders fixed and the layout adjusted to accommodate different craft types. Performance optimization had become a major focus, with the team manually reducing polygon counts across all 3D assets to ensure better performance on mobile devices. Vegetation assets were adapted to match the BYOverse ecosystem, using specialized techniques to maintain performance despite the addition of numerous environmental elements. Track layout underwent significant revamps, with refined boundaries and improved obstacle generation systems, complete with optimized spawn points throughout the map. The log concluded with a hint that launch was drawing closer, with promises of more detailed updates in the weeks ahead. By July 5th, the third weekly log revealed dramatic progress, with the team announcing they already had a playable version of Season 2. Layout adjustments had been finalized, with updated spawn points fully integrated into the game. The map model had been completely reworked to match the new layout, and landmark optimization continued with the removal of unnecessary elements and creation of mobile-friendly focal points around the track. Gameplay testing had resumed, with the team noting that while the debug version shown in their footage had many visual elements stripped out, they were deliberately holding back the cool stuff for launch. Their message carried a clear sense of confidence, describing the racer as looking better than ever as development accelerated. The fourth weekly log, shared on July 12th, shifted focus toward visual enhancements and environmental polish. The team had implemented new visual effects, including waterfalls, water shaders, and atmospheric fog, all designed to elevate the racing experience. Fresh assets from the Amazonia biome had been integrated, adding lush, diverse elements to the environment. Post-processing work ensured these visuals maintained a cohesive Amazonia style, while broad optimizations continued to improve performance across all devices. The game was now described as fully functional, with testing and polish of the track and colliders as the primary focus. The team expressed growing excitement, noting they were trying not to overshare to avoid ruining the surprise, but assured the community that internal testing was yielding promising results. In between weekly logs 4 and 5 came a special occasion. The project celebrated their third anniversary on July 16th. In their commemorative announcement, the team reflected on their journey from the original TRYP mobile app to the expansive universe of Boris the Cook, sharing a look-back video on X.
So, you're new here. Alright, come along. I'll show you around.
They acknowledged the inevitable ups and downs of the past 3 years, emphasizing their persistence through challenging times with the quote, "We never stopped building." The team positioned 2024 as a pivotal year, referring to the recently secured funding as having unlocked new possibilities and provided the arsenal needed to push the project forward. Their message promised increased activity on all fronts, focusing on what they described as the essentials of the ecosystem. Looking ahead, they outlined their immediate priority, incorporating all existing assets of the ecosystem into what they were building, starting with BYORacer before expanding further. The long-term vision remained centered on piloting the Bioverse and fueling our economy with TRYP, reaffirming the project's original ambitious scope. As the weekly log showed accelerating development of Season 2, this anniversary message served to place that progress within the broader context of the project's evolution and future direction. By July 20th, the 5th weekly log declared the game was nearly ready for launch, with updates becoming fewer but more substantial. Testing remained in full swing, ensuring every detail was properly fine-tuned for a seamless experience. Environmental work continued with the integration of new ecosystem elements, while dynamic fogs, birds, and other atmospheric touches were added to bring the world to life. Water effects received special attention, reworked and optimized specifically for mobile devices to maintain visual quality without compromising performance. The team emphasized their commitment to optimization, aiming to make the game compatible with as many devices as possible while delivering the most beautiful experience they could achieve. Their confidence in the product continued to build as they approached the finish line. By the 6th weekly log on July 26th, the tone shifted noticeably as the team declared BYORacer basically ready to roll on a technical level. With the core game nearly complete, their focus had turned toward perfecting the launch experience and integrating final features. While this update primarily addressed Season 2 preparations, it also contained hints of what lay beyond. The team mentioned work on integration for the non-holder, a reference to the eventual public release they had outlined in earlier roadmaps. This wasn't new information, but rather confirmation that while the community focused on Season 2, development continued on longer-term plans. Similarly, the announcement that multiplayer servers had been reinitialized revealed parallel development tracks operating simultaneously. The systems team was working to make these features scalable and easily integrated into the game for when it is time, suggesting a carefully planned sequence of releases beyond the immediate Season 2 launch. As they prompted that, "The next weeks are going to be amazing," the update created a sense of imminent delivery, with the finish line now clearly in sight. The 7th and final log in this series, posted on August 3rd, was notably lighter on specific details, as the team entered what appeared to be a media blackout ahead of launch. They explained that they were nearly at the finish line, with efforts focused on heavy testing and bringing all components together. 4 key areas remained under development: rigorous testing of all game aspects, final integration of all elements and systems, continued optimization across device types, and ongoing multiplayer work being conducted in parallel for when launch is planned. This deliberately vague update suggested a project in its final preparation stage, with the team now holding back information to maximize impact at launch. The message conveyed a sense of disciplined focus as they prepared to deliver the long-awaited Season 2. As the next week rolled around, the doc dropped into the Discord to confirm that the team were ending their streak of weekly updates to avoid putting out too much. But perhaps unexpectedly, the community didn't hear from the team until around 3 weeks later on August 29th, where, again, the doc began hinting to the community about testing Season 2 of the Racer, saying to keep an eye out for the date, which was coming very soon. Then on the next day, August 30th, an announcement dropped with a link to a video uploaded on X titled, "The Anomaly Has Spoken," with the announcement mentioning, "More details soon." Let's watch. Wow, a stunning video from the team. But with all that build-up and mention of it being almost finished, this video revealed that what was expected to be the playtest of Season 2 was still just under a month away from being released. Could it be possible that the team was cooking up much more than the community expected? On the run-up to the September 25th release date, the team mostly steered clear from the Discord. However, there were a few signs of activity on the Project X account, starting with this beautiful cinematic poster with the fitting Amazonia theme of Jungle Fever. Only 4 days later, another beautiful cinematic trailer dropped titled, "We Will Find Out."
Are you sure of the numbers?
I've never been more certain about anything in my entire life. I watched them race for days.
Show me.
The biocrafts absorbed the raw TRYP far more efficiently than expected. How this will affect our land we don't know. But we will find out.
The team was on a roll. But what did this mean exactly? They made reference to the biocrafts absorbing raw TRYP more effectively than expected, most obviously referring to Season 1. But what was this mention about it impacting biolands? Was this a subtle hint to the inclusion of the bioland assets into Season 2? Only time would tell. Between the release of this video and September 25th, things went quiet. The team were doing their thing behind the scenes, and the community was vibing out waiting for the time to come. Then, after a few weeks and days, the long-awaited announcement finally dropped. The team revealed that Season 2 was ready for release, pending App Store reviews. Servers had already been updated, making the current version unplayable until the new release was approved. However, they clarified an important distinction. This would be a test launch before the official season began. This approach would allow them to gather feedback and address any bugs before opening the real faucet of rewards. During this test phase, all craft upgrades would be temporarily reset to help identify issues at every level, though the team assured players that their progress from leveling up in Season 1 would be restored for the official launch. Similarly, while players would start with their current raw TRYP balance, any earnings during the test would not be permanent. The team emphasized that the test would continue until they were confident in the user experience, underscoring their commitment to delivering a polished Season 2. The message signaled that after months of development and weekly updates, BYORacer's next chapter was finally about to begin. Around 9 hours later was when what people had really wanted to hear came around. Season 2 builds were rolling out on the app stores, and pillagers could finally update the app and get their hands on the game. And so it was finally here, the Season 2 playtest. It had been a long time coming since the end of Season 1 back in January. The pillagers that remained took to the game to take it all in. At first came several comments about the immersiveness of the environment, and then discussions happened about its comparison to Season 1. It was quickly realized that the map was smaller and more intense. The environmental damage seemed to have taken a big hike, an obvious response to those marathon sessions experienced back in Season 1. Again, in response to Season 1, the team had introduced 2 distinct race modes, one specifically for speed runs, completing only 1 lap, and one for absorption scores, aka survival, which lasted until your lives ran out. This distinguished between those who just wanted to play a quick lap, with those who were all about survival. But of course, there were several menaces who took to both. As mentioned in the announcement, it was expected that bugs were to be experienced, to which the community helped to raise in the Report Bugs channel. One of those bugs experienced by many was an invisible collision not far off the starting lap. Another one was an anti-gravity, bunny hopping effect after the cliff drop. And also a skybox collider in the same place. But these were all part of playtesting, right? Don't think too much about it, you're just being brought along on the journey. If the pillagers got one thing right, it was the beautiful immersiveness of the track and environment, which seemed much more vibrant than the iconic desolate dunes course. However, the overall sentiment felt different from the Season 1 playtest. The number of active community members had dwindled since then, with not even a squeak from many of the veteran pillagers. But of course, the distinguished G3 was quietly honing his skills, aiming to dominate the leaderboards once again. After around 3 weeks since the release, the doc dropped into the Discord on October 16th to provide an informal update to the pillagers. He mentioned that the team were finalizing bug fixes and working through all the reported issues, noting they had deliberately given things extra time to make sure everything was properly polished. A bug fix patch was expected soon, after which it would be a green light. This casual check-in suggested the team was carefully reviewing all feedback, intentionally taking their time to ensure a quality experience before moving forward. But November arrived without any further details. On November 8th, the doc appeared once again with a brief message, explaining that while bugs have all been fixed, they were still ironing out internal plans for release. The next update came on November 19th, when the doc acknowledged pillagers' patient waiting, mentioning extra time was needed for important things behind the scenes, though framing these as ultimately beneficial to the project. He mentioned they'd aim to provide more context by the end of the following week, but this didn't happen. The community felt somewhat unsettled, but surely it was worth it, right? They'd come this far. What was a little longer? It wasn't until December 1st when the long-awaited update finally arrived, providing a comprehensive overview of multiple aspects of the project's development. The market is heating up, and this is exciting news, the team began, reassuring everyone they never stopped building in the red and promised continued development in the green. For BYORacer, they confirmed the playtest bugs had been fixed, but revealed they had updated the game's engine version to address compatibility issues. While this migration had taken time, it was described as necessary to ensure a properly functioning experience. The most significant revelation was that Season 2's launch was temporarily on hold until they could finalize integration with a chain, directly linking to their next major announcement. The team had been in talks with multiple chains to find the ideal home for BYOPills. Their focus was on selecting a Layer 2 solution that would support the project's vision, while enabling long-term growth and scalability. These discussions were described as advanced, with potential partners that could help bring in a large player base and set the stage for the TRYP token launch. Speaking of TRYP, the team acknowledged the community's ongoing questions about the token. While continuing to emphasize sustainability, they revealed they were now working to expedite things internally, looking for ways to introduce use cases into the ecosystem as soon as possible to establish a solid foundation for the token. The update also touched on other assets across the ecosystem, with promises of breathing back life into them. While light on specifics, they mentioned action would begin unfolding after Season 2's release. This single announcement addressed nearly every aspect of the project, from immediate game development to long-term tokenomics and ecosystem integration, painting a picture of a team juggling multiple strategic priorities simultaneously. Not much else happened throughout December. Those who wanted to play the racer did, while others waited for more clarity on the chain partnership details and all of this resurfacing of the TRYP token launch. But on the last day of the year, right when it looked like the year at BYOPills was over, an announcement dropped. The team opened with holiday wishes and immediately delivered the news everyone had been waiting for. We're thrilled to announce that we've finalized a partnership with a leading gaming chain. Though they held back the partner's identity until an official announcement could be made, They shared impressive numbers about what this collaboration would bring: 2.5 million active users, access to exchanges, and marketplace support and expansion. For BYORacer specifically, this meant massive growth potential through access to the chain's vibrant player base. The ecosystem would benefit from increased demand for BioCraft and all multiplier assets, with hints of possible new ones on the horizon. Perhaps most importantly, this partnership would serve as the gateway and pillar for TRYP launch strategy. The team assured holders that no bridging would be required for existing assets, instead planning a new NFT designed to connect ecosystems effortlessly. With this partnership secured, they announced Season 2 would launch on January 24, 2025, with an initial focus on depleting the raw TRYP pool before onboarding players from the new chain. Once depleted, they would initiate migration to the partner chain, opening a new chapter for the project. The announcement positioned this partnership as laying the foundation for a successful TRYP token launch and broader exchange listings with their new partners' support, suggesting coordinated launch planning moving forward. The team also teased a secret project, an exciting new experience tied to the bio ecosystem and other assets that had been kept under wraps, but would soon be revealed due to favorable market conditions. As 2024 came to a close, they reinforced their vision of BYORacer as the key to onboarding the masses into the ecosystem through its accessibility, positioning the game as the gateway to the broader BYOPills universe and the much-anticipated TRYP token. What had begun as a seemingly quiet testing period had culminated in a strategic partnership that promised to reshape the project's trajectory, setting the stage for what would be a pivotal year in 2025. And so, with all of the ups and downs the project faced throughout 2024, walking into the new year had never felt better.